Hello and welcome to my Star Trek Lower Decks review for Season 1, Episode 2, Envoys. I'm Nate. Welcome to my channel. Let's get into it. Okay, we have the cast list for today. Well, an almost complete cast list for today. These are our main players: Brad Boimler, Devana Tendi, Beckett Mariner, and Sam Rutherford. Our secondary cast and command crew: Captain Carol Freeman, Commander Jack Ransom, Lieutenant Commander Shax, and Lieutenant Commander and CMO Dr. T'Ana. Episode summary here, written by me, not the official episode summary from the show. Mariner and Boimler get an escort mission for a very important peace summit. Their charge is a very alcoholic Klingon general, and shenanigans happen when the general goes full GTA on them and goes on a bender. Will they get him back to the summit on time? Meanwhile, Rutherford tries to fulfill his promise to Tendi no matter the cost. We open with the classic Star Trek beauty shot of the Cerritos in orbit of a planet before a TNG-style energy ball enters the ship. For Star Trek, there's usually two types of energy being we see. There's the energy cloud, which is more of a TOS sort of era creature. And for Star Trek Next Generation, they were always energy balls. This being an energy ball, you know you're very firm in the TNG era. This particular energy ball is reminiscent of the one from The Child, the TNG episode, but unlike that one, it didn't put a baby in anyone. This one simply threatens Tendi and Mariner and demands that they supplicate themselves before it. Now, this creature obviously does not know who it's dealing with, because immediately Mariner jumps into action and wrestles the creature and almost forces it into a canister that her and Tendi were transporting. The creature decides to strike a bargain. You let me go, and I will give you one wish for whatever you want. This creature has the ability to change air molecules into whatever it desires. And Mariner, well, Mariner desires a brand spanking new tricorder, and not just any type of tricorder, a tricorder with a purple stripe down the back. Now, this energy creature, when we first see it, is a large, almost medicine ball sized creature. As it fulfills this wish, we can see it literally shrink to about the size of a cricket ball. And Mariner, rightfully so, says, hey, there's no power core in this, dude. How am I supposed to use it without a power core? The creature is then forced to produce the power core for it, which shrinks it from the cricket ball size down to about the size of a pea. The two ensigns, loving their new tricorder, head off in the opposite direction, leaving this pea-sized energy creature to try and force someone else to supplicate themselves before him, and is immediately crushed by Captain Freeman as it bounces practically off her uniform jacket. And I love here that we see the captain workshop in her engage quote. It's one of those things I always imagine happening in Star Trek, like Picard sitting down with Jack Crusher going, what if I do a two-finger point instead of a one-finger point? I mean, one finger seems like pretty rude, so if I do two fingers, that's like, yeah, action. That's like engage. And then like testing out what the different engage, what he would say for like, how he would say it, how he would, everything. You know, one of those things. So I always want, I think Kirk would do something similar, but not with Spock. Obviously, probably somebody else, someone who actually could get stone cold drunk with him while he's doing it. I like how she chose warp me though. That's always fun. We return to Mariner and Tendi going about their jobs, with Mariner watching an admiral falling off a platform on her pad. I really like this because the humans in Star Trek very much hold up to the Gene Roddenberry ideal, which means they don't really feel human most of the time. They're just a little bit too perfect. These little falling off a stage, mumbling, dropping stuff, that's I always like to see that, to see these perfect examples of humanity just being human. They are interrupted from their merrymaking by Brad Boimler. He is bragging about getting what he believes to be the best mission on the ship. And if you are a video gamer of any stripe, you know this is an absolute fallacy. No one likes an escort mission. Even less so an escort mission involving Klingons. Am I right? But he announces that he is escorting General Corinne down to Talgana 4 for a peace summit. And we get some jokes about Klingon names, which I find, pretty funny. Like Worf is one of the few Klingons that doesn't have one of those weird things in his name. So he's not Worf, he's just Worf. The general himself is a highly decorated general, apparently. We never see his record, but Boimler seems pretty ecstatic about it. And Mariner gets this look in her eye as Boimler leaves, practicing his Klingon greetings, that, she's up to something. Yeah. And then Rutherford quite literally pops out of a Jeffries tube after apparently spending weeks in there. Weeks. Calibrating EPS conduits. Love the dedication to the job, but I think you really need to take a hard look at yourself if you are happy about spending time in a very small, very cramped area of the ship working with high power systems like that. Love his dedication, as I said, but dude, you really need to think about what you're doing right now. He wants to continue doing the calibrations, but Tendi reminds him that he promised her that they would watch the Tivali pulsar together. And Rutherford, ever a man of his word, vows that he will watch it with her, even if he has to rearrange his entire career. We cut to a very smug Boimler who has packed just about everything into a large backpack and 2 suitcases and is heading towards his shuttle, being super smug even with the junior grade lieutenants that are around him. I'm loving the confidence, Boimler, I really am. And his happy train is completely derailed when he sees our very own Beckett Mariner, who has spilled noodles and broth all over the main consoles, waiting there for him. And she reveals that not only has she been assigned to this mission, but she has taken his spot as mission lead. Bit of a dick move, par for the course for Mariner from last episode to this episode. They really don't seem to be doing her any good in these episodes. I mean, her characterization is not very, very pleasant. And after she pretty much breaks his world here, she starts playing with the blast shields. And, I'd probably do the same thing, but I wouldn't be doing it right after I've just pulled a mission out from under a friend like that. Seems like a really dickish move. We move to engineering and get a beautiful, beautiful shot of that brand new designed, to us anyway, warp core. Oh, I love them TNG warp cores with the lights on them. The TOS ones are okay. The film ones anyway. The series one was very much similar to the Archer one, where there's no real flashing lights anywhere on them. And I'm a sucker for those flashing light warp cores. Didn't so much like Voyager's warp core. Seemed a bit too lava lampish for me, but to each their own. Now Rutherford sums up all of his courage and talks to his chief engineer and immediate superior officer, one Commander Billups, and has told him that he wants to change his career progression. And Billups, being the best kind of officer and the best kind of manager, is absolutely supportive of his wishes. Love this. Wish we saw more of this, because in the series you don't really see officers going up and down all that much, or we didn't really see anyone at all shift branches at all unless they were getting promoted up. and he is supremely supportive. Love that. We jump to Mariner and Boimler, the former of which is fast asleep on the ship, mumbling Khan's iconic lines from The Wrath of Khan, before Boimler wakes her up and reveals that he has been studying super hard for this mission, like super, super hard. And she doesn't care at all, which is another characterization for her. She is very nonchalant about the work, but he is super uptight. I'm pretty sure if I put a lump of coal at Boimler's ass, you'd have a diamond in under 5 minutes. And we finally get to meet General Corinne, a one-eyed Klingon. And I'm not sure or not if it's him that's supposed to be the one-eyed Klingon she got the Batleth from in the previous episode, because I don't know how the timeline is working out here in Lower Decks land, so we'll just move on from there. And Boimler moves to his formal, very practiced Klingon greeting, and Mariner attacks with a brilliant flying kick that I think Jean-Claude Van Damme will be very proud of. And in the course of their little skirmish, he steals his Daktag, his Klingon dagger, and puts it to his throat. And then they burst out into laughter because this is how Klingon friends greet each other, apparently. She tosses him back his blade, and Corinne tells her she's gotten soft. Mariner and Corinne apparently used to do grey ops operations years ago, and they're very good friends. And then they all decide to treat Boimler like crap again. Like, I don't mind one or two funny stints of that. Like, they did it in Voyager for years with Harry Kim, but you can't make a whole show around that because you just end up distancing your cast. I mean, distancing your fans. Like, I can see like one or two episodes where Boimler becomes a smug little dick and Mariner slaps him down. That's all fine. But you can't have a whole show just of that, surely. You wouldn't be able to maintain. The General and Mariner start sharing drinks, and we don't know who brought the goblets, but somebody did. And the shuttle heads out with the two of them singing Klingon drinking songs. I would not want to be in that ship at all. That little shuttle, no way. The General orders Boimler to head to Little Kronos because he wants Gach, contradicting his orders from the captain. But as Mariner is his superior officer, she orders him to follow the General's orders, and they head for Little Kronos to get some Gach. They reminisce some more, and drench Boimler in blood wine, interrupting his security checks. And you'd think for a peace summit, there would be some very hefty security checks, and failing one of them could potentially bring lethal consequences, especially when Klingons are on the board. Yeah, professionalism, not really a thing for Mariner here, is it? When he asks them to stop, they throw a duck tag at him, damaging their driving console. That's like someone taking a shotgun and blasting your steering wheel while you're driving. It's stupidly dangerous. And they come in for quite the smooth landing. And we find out that the General is not only blackout drunk, he is so blackout drunk that he has soiled himself on his Batleth. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure Martok wouldn't stand for that kind of thing. I mean, Martok, he liked to drink, and he was more often than not with a bottle of blood wine in his hands. But he was never so blackout drunk that he would soil himself, and I don't think he would appreciate one of his generals doing that either. Now, as Boimler and Mariner go outside of the shuttle to have a little word together, the General steals the shuttle and flies away, leaving the two of them to simply watch as he goes. Mariner, thinking nothing of it, says, "Oh, we'll just beam back up to the ship, use the shuttle's recall, and then come back down." To which Boimler, who's read the brief, reveals that they can't do that because the planet is protected by an ion field that restricts comms and transporters, which I think would have been pretty obvious given that they shuttled down and didn't beam down. Another point against Mariner here. Boimler, being supremely annoyed, begins to power walk off and name-dropping Section 31. I think he's about as sick and tired of Mariner's trust fund baby attitude as I am at this point. They head into the market area where the Gach restaurant is and meet the female proprietor, who says that yes, the general had been there, but he's headed off to the Andorian district because the man wants some stronger ale. Oh yes, let the man who was blackout drunk and soiled himself go get stronger ale. That's a real responsible barman there. Whoever sells him alcohol should lose their license, I swear to God. And they head off to try and get to the Andorian district, where Boimler bumps into a Traxor, a species I've never seen before, but may have been in the animated series. I don't know. I never watched the original animated series. He tries to apologize, but makes an absolute pig's ear out of it because he tries to apologize in the creature's natural language, and Boimler really should have brushed up on his languages before trying that because he made an absolute fool of himself, forcing Mariner to get involved, and her immediate first response is not trying to talk the Traxor down, but to physically attack it. When Boimler tells her, look, we got to treat you with these people, you can't just attack them, she decides to pickpocket him instead and then mime throwing his money pouch into the market, forcing the creature to disengage and run after it. Pretty smart plan, but a bit of a dick move. And in the background of some of these stalls, we see some old school TOS Klingon disruptors. Love seeing them back, all nickel plated and stuff. Yeah, I like the TNG disruptors more, but to each their own. We cut back to the Cerritos as Rutherford is trying out for the command division, and he does look good in red. He's being mentored by none other than Commander Ransom, who seems to be fine with Rutherford, so maybe it was the rage virus that made him act like that to Boimler, or maybe he just doesn't like Boimler. One or the other. We start the class with a holograph simulation, program number 43, an advanced simulation that he fails utterly spectacularly, somehow managing to kill 105% of his crew. The commander gives him a little pep talk and recommends the Janeway protocol next time he's in that sort of situation. He then uploads Command Trainer 4, a basic simulation that he also epically fails. I guess some people just really aren't meant for command. We then jump back to the A plot with Beckett Mariner and Boimler. They have entered an area which appears to be a Ryzen district, given the interesting fertility statues we see around that we see in Deep Space Nine and in The Next Generation. And they go to sit at the fountain where the statue is housed, and Boimler almost gets eaten by an Anbaj. Apparently they're attracted to the weak-minded and the color red. Another example of how much this show hates Boimler. But Mariner, who has stepped out to go to the toilet, manages to save him with a hose filled with water. And then we cut back to the Cerritos, and we see Rutherford. He's in medical blue, and he's enjoying his work, finding the medical division very much like the engineering division, and the body very much like a warp core or engine, and he enjoys the work. But due to his nature, he absolutely fails the bedside manner, epically fails the bedside manner. He almost gets a man killed with his poor bedside manner. Dr. Ta'ana then takes him aside and recommends security, and then we meet my second favorite gold shirt of this series, Shax. Shax, like Ransom, throws him in the deep end to see what he's made of with a Borg combat simulation. that he basically uses the Kobayashi Maru to test people's character. And Rutherford uses his implant to cheat, though I don't feel like it's really cheating when you're in a combat situation, but it's the best way I can describe it. He literally pushes a button, his implant then tells him the best strategy and practically moves for him in the combat situation, and he absolutely decimates the Borg, leaving a very, very impressed Shax to welcome him into the bear pack. Quick aside, bears don't travel in packs. They are very solitary creatures and will only form up in groups when they're getting ready to mate. We cut back to the dynamic duo down on the planet, and they have finally entered what appears to be the Andorian district. Boimler interjects himself into a bar brawl between what appear to be 3 Andorians, 1 old man and 2 younger Andorians, who are physically abusing the old man. Boimler, ever the red shirt hero, fires his phaser, breaking up the fight, only to reveal that the old man is a Andorian pickpocket. They're a species from the animated series, never seen them before, but pretty cool design, sort of a squid crossed with a crystal that glows. Pretty interesting design. This little spat turns into a full barroom brawl as one of the Andorians, upset at losing their quarry, throws a chair at Boimler, who dodges, and the chair impacts one of the other patrons. This then turns into a large-scale brawl with poor old Boimler trapped in the middle. Mariner, ever the quick thinker, fires her phaser into the air to get everyone's attention and, using the money pouch she stole off the taxodon earlier, buys everyone a few rounds as Boimler, who has just taken a shot in the pills by a very blunt but very painful looking spike, leaves the bar dejected. Boimler is so dejected, in fact, he pulls his Starfleet comm badge off and tosses it, contemplating just leaving Starfleet altogether. We cut back to the Cerritos and Rutherford as he meets the quote bear pack. And this is how Starfleet security really should be. I mean, Rutherford is welcomed in immediately. Everyone is supportive of him. But when he decides to go back to engineering here, they're supportive of him even then, because security really want to help the crew. They want to help them physically. They want to help them mentally. They want the best for them. I love this. Shax and Billups here represent the absolute best of the gold shirts in Star Trek. And to serve under either one of them would probably be one of the highest honors in the fleet. I really do like both of these characters. We cut back down to Boimler and Mariner. They meet a Ferengi that Mariner, obviously purposefully, misinterprets as a Bolian for Boimler to feel better. Now we can see that because she is literally the worst actor on the planet. We see her basically throwing Boimler the biggest bone on the planet here, which does a lot for me to salvage her character, because she has just been riding Boimler for his inadequacies or his super adherence to the rules in the book of Starfleet Command. But here she pulled back somewhat from this really dickish attitude she's got, so I really like that. The two make it back to the Federation Embassy and find their shuttle covered in parking tickets and a black-out drunk General Corinne. They dump the tickets and the General and gun it back to the Cerritos. The General is there just in time for the conference, and Boimler gets a well-deserved revenge on Mariner, telling everyone of her mistake, and to her credit, takes it on the chin like a champ. Rutherford apologizes to Tendi, and she blows it off. Basically, she didn't want to watch it in person with him. She wanted to be with him while she watched it, and she could do that from a pad. Though it does kind of make his little arc here superfluous to requirements, I do enjoy that we see Rutherford being willing to do this for a friend. Really, Rutherford is my MVP of this series so far. I know we're only at episode 2, but yeah, I'm really liking Rutherford here. And as we cut to Mariner alone in her bunk, it is revealed that the Ferengi is a friend of hers. She arranged the whole thing for Boimler's self-esteem. We close on Tendi and Rutherford in the tubes, appreciating their own sphere and each other as she watches the pulsar and he realigns some EPS conduits. So, Star Trek Lower Decks, Season 1, Episode 2, final star score, 4.5 stars. Love the crew here. Love the gold shirts here. They're proving to be the real MVPs of the fleet. And Mariner did a lot to fix her character here with Boimler. So I'm hoping this kind of situation continues as we move on and we lose more and more of that Rick and Morty humor at other people's expense and get a real good sense of friendship and camaraderie between these two characters. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you'd like to leave a like, a comment, maybe even subscribe if you wish to, it'll all help me with the YouTube algorithm. And I will gladly see you guys down the road. You have a good one out there.